Right, hello, good morning everyone. My name is Ben Cullen. I'm the Knowledge Transfer Manager for Rail at Innovate UK Business Connect. It gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone here and online to the 2025 Rail Innovation Exhibition. We've just had an announcement with housekeeping information, but if there are any questions on housekeeping, please feel free to reach out to myself or members of staff. Hopefully you've been able to locate tea, coffee and refreshments. If not, they are situated in Britain, the room at the front of the building, and this is also where lunch will be served later. Might I politely ask for the speaker's session this morning in this room if phones could be put to silent, and if you need to make or receive a call, please can you do so in the other areas of the exhibition. So I should tell you about the layout of the exhibition. We have 3 rooms that we are using today. They are this room, Fleming, Britain at the front of the building, and Whittle, which is the room next to this one. Britain and Whittle will be where you can find all the exhibitors today. Food, drinks, and refreshments will be served in Britain too. I'd also like to point out that after lunch, this room will become a networking and meeting space, so please do make full use of that this afternoon too. Now, about the exhibition. We have over 70 exhibitors. You can meet them in person today throughout the exhibitor halls and find more information about them online by viewing the event app. The app will allow you to contact and interact with each other throughout the day. Further details of this can be found in your emails. What we've aimed to achieve this year is bring you the latest innovations in rail and rail supply chain and give you the opportunity to witness these innovations and connect with the industry innovators by dedicating 4 hours solely for exhibition time, which will allow you, our delegates in person and online, to interact with the exhibitors and each other. The exhibition is of course open now and will continue to be until we round off the day at 4:30 p.m. With the exhibition, we would also like to highlight previous first-of-a-kind winners, many of whom are exhibiting here today. So please do go and find out more from them. Now moving on to the agenda. For our speaker session this morning, we're very pleased to be starting with our keynote speaker, Lord Peter Hendy. Then at 10:25, Angie Doll, who is a trustee for Women in Rail, will be discussing diversity and advocating for women in rail. At 10:35, Maggie Simpson, Director General of the Rail Freight Group, who will be talking about what GBR means for freight. Following that, at 10:45, we have Luis Hermosio from the RSSB, speaking to us about the rail technical strategy and how innovation is important throughout the rail ecosystem. At 10:55, we have Clara Lidanova and James Bevan from Innovate UK, speaking about supporting and celebrating UK rail innovation. Following Clara and James, that will conclude our speaker session. Unfortunately, there will not be an opportunity to ask our speakers questions this morning, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them using their contact details, or I'm sure they'll be happy to have a chat at some point during the day. Lunch will be served between 12 and 1 in Britain. The rest of the day will be dedicated solely to enjoying the exhibition. The end of the day will be brought to a close at 4:30 p.m. So I hope that gives everyone here and online a good idea as what to expect from today's proceedings. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask myself or other members of the Innovate UK Business Connect team who are here in support today. And now, it gives me great pleasure to welcome up on stage our keynote speaker, Lord Peter Hendy.
Morning, everybody. It's really nice to be here. I'm so pleased it's this morning and not yesterday morning, because if it had been yesterday morning, I could barely keep my eyes open. I was in the House of Lords till 1:10 on Tuesday night, and for a pensioner, that's not good. That's not a good thing, you know. But I've had a good night's sleep, so it's really nice to see you, which I'm not sure I could have said yesterday morning at the same time. So look, it's really nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. This is a good year to be thinking about innovation, because, of course, it's the 200th anniversary of the first public passenger railway in the world, which was a British invention, September 1825, and our railway, all our railway, will celebrate that this year. And so it should, because actually the railway changed the world. The railway changed the world in so many ways. It delivered, it changed a pastoral country to an urbanised country. It brought food and milk and coal to cities, and it created our modern world. And it's still doing it. So I always try to start speeches, however they're written for me, by saying actually the point of the railway is not how it works, it's what it does. And what it does is create connectivity, and better connectivity creates growth, jobs and housing. And it's not an accident that actually that's central to the government's plan for change and its missions. And the railway is a very excellent way of doing just that. So the government believes in the railway, the government thinks the railway is important, and carrying on innovating for a world first that was British from 200 years ago is obviously the right thing to do. I come at this perspective for a lifetime in transport. We can debate some other time whether you really think I'm a railway person or not. Nobody really does. Because I was only in charge of a little railway in London, but it did carry a lot of people. But look, actually, having said what the railway's for, then actually the next thing is it doesn't run without people. It's the input of people into the fabric of the railway that creates the connectivity that leads to better lives and livelihoods. And whether it's passengers who stand to gain from innovation, or you lot, the innovators yourselves, the railway is nothing if it doesn't serve people and it doesn't include people and it doesn't have people doing things to it to make it better. And actually, whatever I talk about, everything, of course, starts with people. So one of the ways we're driving innovation today is through the First of a Kind programme, a partnership between my department, the Department for Transport, Innovate UK, industry, research organisations and academia, where we ask what are the biggest challenges rail faces, how can we help solve them? And the first priority, of course, of any transport system, the given in the railway, is putting safety first. And First of a Kind has helped companies like One Big Circle to revolutionise safety and efficiency with AI-powered solutions to monitor what's happening across the system. They've won the King's Award for Innovation for their work. But they're just one example of one of many. With support from Innovate UK, First of a Kind has already provided £58 million to fund 179 projects, turning ideas into reality, from making the railway more accessible to improving ticketing to preventing disruption before it happens. Take Luna, delivering digital signage that translates travel updates into British Sign Language, or Seatfrog, allowing passengers to swap train tickets without buying a new one, putting fairness and flexibility first, or TransReport, making it easier for disabled passengers to request assistance, making travel simpler, more inclusive and stress-free. None of that happens by accident or is easy, and one of the biggest challenges we know that innovators face is securing funding in the first place. That money is needed to test and prove concepts before full-scale deployment, and that's what First of a Kind is there for. To address this head-on, helping to unlock those innovations that could come to define the next 200 years of our railway. All of that is part and parcel of creating a railway that works better for the people who use it. And to make lasting progress, we need real reform. One of the reasons that I'm here in this role is because I spent 9 years at Network Rail, 6 of which was waiting for previous governments to enact the reform agenda, which was patently obvious it needed after the timetable crisis of May 2018, and which was set out by Keith Williams in his report, rather interrupted, of course, by COVID. But actually, the Williams report is still clear about what needs to be done to the railway, as it was at the time that he wrote it. And I've got one anecdotal example, but it's true, which is that, of course, the Secretary of State and I are really concerned about railway performance. It's not as good as it should be. So I've been meeting train company managing directors and Network Rail route directors together to talk to them about performance. It's been a really interesting process. It's been quite clear to me that there are people in those roles who've met together recently, and in fact, the best of those partnerships have people working together and had them already before we started. But I had at least one, the most alarming example where one party was saying to me how well they collaborated with the other, whilst the other was sitting there shaking her head in disbelief. Now, that's not a good place to be for the railway, because this present system it gives everybody an opportunity, frankly, to be able to blame somebody else when things go wrong. And some of you at least will have heard me say the one thing about running Transport for London, which of course I did for nearly 10 years, was that when anything went wrong, there was nobody to blame. It was actually my fault. And if it's your fault and your management team's fault and the organisation's fault, you work hard to fix it, because you should. And that's what we're trying to do with the railway, because it isn't satisfactory to have so much contractual interaction, and it's not satisfactory to find it so easy to say, well, it's not me, it's somebody else. I'm really looking forward to that. And if you ask me to define it in practical terms, what I think I want to see out of this railway, what I most want to see out of reform is that I can find people who actually put their arms around pieces of the railway and say, this is mine, I'm responsible for it, I'm going to run it, everything that goes wrong we're going to fix, and we're going to make it better. We're going to make performance better, we're going to grow revenue, we're going to reduce costs. And that's my simple test about reform. So we started with the public ownership bill that went through Parliament last year. It was the first of the government's manifesto bills to go through Parliament. It was an interesting learning experience for me to take it through the House of Lords, but I did. It's now an act of Parliament, and the train companies will come, or the train operations will come back progressively into public ownership. But that's pretty simple, and that's only a little piece of the reform. And the substantial piece of reform is a really substantial bill in Parliament, which will enter this summer. And before then, there will be a consultation, because this is the biggest reform to affect the railway for over 30 years. And there will be a substantial consultation, which everybody, both individuals and organisations represented in this room, will be very welcome to respond to. And as ever with political life, I can't actually tell you which day it's going to be published, but I can tell you it's imminent, which is better than saying it's spring or summer or autumn. And it is imminent, and when it comes, it will be a clear statement of intent that we intend to get on with a major reform bill this summer, because the railway does need change. And we need to do a lot of things to it to make it perform better, to improve its revenue, and to reduce its costs. So we can't do that. There's a lot we can't do until we've got an act of Parliament. You can't set up GBR itself until a long way through the bill process. But we can start making the railway better now, and in particular, we can start making it better by bringing together the publicly owned pieces of the railway. There are 4 train companies that have been in public ownership actually for some time. There's Network Rail, which is a public corporation, and the department itself, which has hundreds of people working on the railway as a consequence of the evolution of the way in which the railway's operated over this last 30 years. So Shadow GBR, chaired by Laura Schaaf, who some of you will know, who is bringing together those publicly owned pieces of the railway so that the change that we can do now, that we start doing. And that's really important, because actually starting to establish the culture of collaboration, starting to diminish fragmentation is actually the right thing to do. And more particularly in the area that you're going to talk about and show each other today, we set up GBRX, which is led by Network Rail. GBRX exists precisely to challenge and change the slow adoption, which has been a feature of the railway in some cases, driven principally because the fragmentation of how it works and the difficulties of the contractual relationships. It's a means of overcoming that fragmentation, speeding up modernisation and embracing new technology. It's already begun to identify and convene industry and academia, driving progress in AI, data science and asset management, and helping different parts of the industry collaborate more effectively. And in short, it's starting to ensure that when new technology is ready, we're ready to adopt it, because innovation, as you all know, doesn't just happen. It needs support, it needs funding, and most importantly, it needs a railway that's ready to take advantage of it. And that's what GBRX is here to deliver as part of currently Shadow GBR and then GBR itself. And you see more about this in the coming months. So in closing, when you when you look at the railway over 2 centuries, it's actually easy to see that the entire history of the railway is a history of innovation. The railway's been surprisingly flexible. People have predicted its demise in certainly over the previous 100 years, and it's been through some dark periods of the 2 world wars and some radical social change in terms of the growth of car ownership. But it's still here and it's doing well. And the interesting thing is that there's a huge appetite to invest in the railway and make it better. Everybody I see in Parliament, I see members of Parliament, clearly they're all interested in their constituency interests. And they all want more railway. They don't want less railway. They don't want it replaced by something else. They want it to work better. They want more of it. They want to see more investment. And actually, that's really good. That's a good culture for us to be in. If I were to look back at some of the ages in which British Rail lived, there was quite a long time when it lived in an era where government was not interested in investing in the railway and not interested much in what the railway could do other than at really minimum cost. That's not true now. Actually, people want more of this, and I think our job is to give them it in a better, more cost-effective way that costs the country less and delivers a better result. And frankly, if I finish by saying, well, actually, you're part of this, and innovation is part of it. The railway's been through constant change over 200 years, and I think the really exciting thing about what you're doing today is that you're going to drive some more of that change through innovation, making things better, finding what new technology can do for the railway to make it better, and that is really, really exciting. So I'm really grateful to you all for the hard work that you put in to Innovate UK for hosting this. I really hope you have a good day. One of the evils of ministerial life is that actually, whilst I'd like to be here for an hour and look around the place, actually I've got to go and do something else in a minute, and I'm really sorry about that. But I hope that you get that I'm enthusiastic about this, that the department is. If the Secretary of State were here, she would be. And we want you to do as much as you can with the money that you've got in order to make the railway better for the people of Britain and to make our country better. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much to the Rail Minister for his keynote address. And now I'd very much like to welcome up on stage Angie Dole.
Thank you and good morning, everybody. My name is Angie Dole and I'm the CEO of GoVia Thameslink Railway. We operate Southern, Gatwick Express, Thameslink and Great Northern. It's fantastic to be here today amongst so many people who are passionate about improving our industry. And I want to build on some of the comments that Lord Hendy spoke about just now about people. Because if we're going to be a thriving and innovative industry, we must attract the best talent. Those with fresh new ideas and a drive for positive change for our customers. And diversity is the key to achieving that. Research even consistently demonstrates that diverse companies are stronger and perform better. They attract top talent, improve customer satisfaction, boost employee engagement, make better decisions, and deliver stronger financial results. So I'm delighted to be speaking about a subject that I'm really passionate about today, diversity in rail, and how we can encourage more women to join a thriving industry by sharing insights from my own experience and those from Women in Rail, a brilliant organisation of volunteers who over the last 12 years have been championing women in our industry. So, why is it so important for our sector? As Lord Hendy said, this year we celebrate 200 years of the railway. Our railway today is more than just tracks and trains. We are no longer individual lines of routes, we are a network. In fact, I would go as far to say is that we are an ecosystem where every part supports the whole. And at its heart are our people, the railway family. Generations of railway workers have built and shaped this industry. And for much of that time, the railway workforce has been overwhelmingly male. But today, we have a growing number of mothers and daughters following in their family footsteps. So a sign of progress, but not enough yet. The purpose of our railway family is the same as it was 200 years ago, to connect people and help our communities thrive. And to serve our communities effectively, our workforce must reflect the diversity of our passengers if we are to remain competitive. We see the rise of working from home and competition from cars, and we need to evolve. And that means welcoming people with broader range of perspectives from different backgrounds, with different skills and experiences into our team. And this is fundamental to our economic success. And I see this as a real opportunity for our industry, as there's clear political ambition and will to drive economic growth through our industry. And I firmly believe we can entice more people back to the railway and welcome a generation of new travellers if we focus on their needs. With many experienced rail professionals due to retire, now is the time to broaden our talent pool, attract younger generations, and create a welcoming, inclusive environment for all. And that should be our priority. At GTR, we have been working hard to attract and retain more diverse workforce, and as a trustee of Women in Rail, I see firsthand the impact and the difference that targeted initiatives are making. I'm proud that 60% of my executive team are women, something that would almost been unheard of even just a few years ago. And that is why it's important for companies to engage with organisations like Women in Rail, who are tackling gender disparity in leadership to ensure that our sector isn't missing out on that top talent. Only 1% of C-suite jobs in our industry are women today. The latest workforce survey from the National Skills Academy of Rail shows that the proportion of women in rail has risen from 16.3% in 2023 to just 17.4% in 2024. And we are still ranked among the bottom 5 worst industries for gender representation. Over the last few years at GTR, we've made notable changes to how and where we recruit with a view to increasing female applicants in roles that are underrepresented, such as drivers and engineering. To do that, we've introduced more representative interview panels to reduce unconscious bias. We've introduced new inclusive job advertisements on platforms that engage with women. We've launched a buddy scheme. We share case studies showcasing female role models in careers. And we've created strong partnerships with skills organisation to increase the number of apprenticeship places that we have. Using different platforms to advertise has transformed the way that we attract people from all different types of backgrounds. Having researched which online platforms engage more people, we use them to promote the opportunities, supported by case studies highlighting women in those underrepresented roles, showing that there are positive career development experiences. And these small changes have made a significant difference. In 2021, we had 3,500 female applicants for trainee drivers' roles. That was up from 800 applicants the previous year. The proportion of trainee drivers now at GTR has grown from 10% in 2016 to 32% last year. So progress, but I accept we still need to do more. Which is why we've partnered with organisations such as the Women's Engineer Society and Career Returners, who seek out women who have had a career break. One example is a lady who's returned after a career break from being a chef. We've also recently celebrated 10 years of our partnership with the King's Trust. And over that time, it's been fantastic to see the bright careers that have developed on the way, such as one of our station assistants at Finsbury Park, who originally started in a coffee shop, was one of the first cohorts on the King's Trust programme, and now she's undertaken an apprenticeship to become a team leader. We're also investing in mentoring and leadership programmes, and we have 16 apprenticeship programmes, with a third of our apprenticeship intake last year being women. We recently launched a Level 3 and a Level 5 leadership apprenticeship programme aimed at our female candidates. because we hope and we want to encourage that we're supporting the careers of our staff internally, as it's crucial for our succession planning. Our strategy is to cultivate and nurture our next generation of senior leaders from within, similar to my own experience when I started as a station manager far too many years ago than I care to share today, to be honest. So, how do we drive change in organisation? And some of you might be thinking, well, that's great. You know, you're a big organisation with lots of resources. Well, the good news is that change doesn't require a massive budget. It just requires intent and action. And there's help on hands. Organisations such as Women in Rail are here to improve diversity in the rail by providing network opportunities and support to all women, and to encourage stakeholders to adopt diversity as business strategies and help initiatives aimed at positioning rail as an attractive career prospect for women. Women in Rail's individual membership is free, and we have over 7,500 members across 8 regional working groups. And we also have, I would say, a very reasonably priced corporate membership, which gives companies access to practical toolkits to help organisations of all size. So the toolkits include things like recruitment and retention strategies tailored to improve gender diversity, policy templates that you can use to adapt to your organisation, awareness campaigns that you can use in your organisation to promote inclusion, and we also have the Women in Rail mentoring programme, which is endorsed by the DfT. So being a corporate member has lots of advantages, plus it demonstrates your company's commitment to bridging the gender skills gap in UK rail. So looking forward, while progress has been made and there is still more to do, the days of female leadership being rare are behind us, I'm pleased to say. I am no longer one of 40 in a room of my industry peers, but we must continue to work together to build a more diverse and inclusive industry. We need our industry to collaborate and to ensure that there is lasting change. We must also go beyond just gender diversity and look at broader inclusions efforts, because the more perspectives that we bring to the table, the stronger our industry will be. I wouldn't be standing here today without the support of those who've championed diversity before me, and now it's our opportunity to create those opportunities for the next generation. So finally, I'd like to leave you with a couple of thoughts today. What can you do in your organisation to improve diversity? How can you support Women in Rail and promote their cause? And if your company has successfully implemented diversity initiatives, how can you share those practices elsewhere? By investing in our people, fostering inclusivity and collaboration, and keeping customers at the heart of everything we do, we can build a stronger, more diverse railway family for the future, one where everybody is welcome. I'm proud to be part of an industry with such a rich heritage and exciting future as we continue to champion diversity. After all, at our core, we are an industry about people. We move people through people, so let's invest in our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Angie there. I'd now like to welcome up Maggie Simpson from the Rail Freight Group.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here. We managed to make it all the way through the Minister's speech without saying the word freight, which maybe tells you something, but let me try and remedy that for you in the next 15 minutes. So I was asked to start by talking about Rail 200, and I know, it is a huge celebration, and rightly so, of everything that the railways have achieved for the UK and indeed the global economy in the last 200 years. You'll be familiar with the picture there of the first passenger train that ran 200 years ago this year on the Stockton and Darlington Railway, but you'll be forgiven perhaps for not understanding, because you haven't been told, that the Stockton and Darlington was a freight railway. It was built by some coal miners who had a product which at that time, no longer of course, but at that time had a massive global importance. They needed to export it. So they built a railway, they pulled it with horses. They took it down to the sea at Middlesbrough, to a port which still exists today, massive rail freight user, PD Ports and AV Dawson's down the quay from them. And they exported it globally, and not doing much for climate, it turned out later, but doing a huge amount for the world's economy. And so when the first passenger train came along, that one on the picture, the passengers travelled in coal wagons. And they were very honoured to have the world's first steam locomotive on the front. But after that day, the passengers went back to being pulled by horse. And that steam loco continued to pull freight trains until the unfortunate day when its boiler blew up about 3 months later. The railways were built for moving freight. Now, of course, they evolved, and rightly so, into what we see today. But if you look across the world and look at where railways are being invested in across the world, moving freight continues to be a massive, massive imperative. Look at the Americas. Look at what's going on in the Middle East, in Africa. People are looking at how they can use the railways to move freight. And, of course, we still do in this country too. So the railways were built for freight, they innovated for freight, but we didn't stop 200 years ago. This fairly grotty-looking wagon here is some state-of-the-art rail freight innovation that's going on right now today. This is in Germany. It's a trial that's about to get underway this year with a company called Nivomo. Nivomo have come out of Hyperloop. I know you all think it's mad, but they've taken the magnetic rail boosters out of Hyperloop. They've put it onto a wagon, and they're using that to create a self-driving wagon that will shunt itself around a rail yard, and they're trialling it in Europe with Captrain. Now, the UK market doesn't have a lot of shunting, but actually, if we can power a wagon by itself, if this technology works, we just solved decarbonisation of a terminal, right? And if we could power a locomotive and a wagon up a hill using a magnet, actually we could improve running speed on the network, power draw from overhead lines, and so on. So this is a fantastically exciting trial that's going on this year in Germany for freight. It might work, it might not work, the trial needs to happen. But it's freight, then again, at the leading edge of innovation. No passengers on that one yet, but you never know. Let's turn to the UK, though, because that's where we are today. And actually, there's been a huge move forward in innovation in UK rail freight in the last few years. I wouldn't say we are the market leader, but there's definitely movement in how we use digital technology, how we use data, how we engage with innovation and research across the sector. There's a couple of examples there. The locomotive is the first freight locomotive to be fitted with ECTS equipment to support the East Coast Digital Programme. That's now in driver testing. Another fitment is happening on other locomotives behind that. Still a long way to go on that journey, but we're running, learning from those early tests and trials about how the systems need to work. And then over on the right, the lady there is the logistics director of Heidelberg, who are one of the country's largest construction businesses, supplying aggregates, stones, cement to build infrastructure, homes, quarry, and so on across the UK. And they've just invested in a new fleet of rail wagons and a retrofitment of their existing rail wagons to have the iWagon technology, which is a joint venture between VTG and Knorr-Bremse, fits anti-lock braking effectively, wheel slide prevention onto the wagon, but also data enables that wagon to improve information, to start us on a journey towards remote monitoring. Of course, that's been in the airlines forever, but a journey that we're beginning to embrace now with equipment like this. And actually, the opportunity once you start to put digital equipment on your wagons is huge. And other people who are looking at answering those questions a different way with some fairly advanced line-side technology, which is on trial for one of the freight operators now, end-of-train detection, which we'll probably need for ECTS, which is being developed, and some really great systems that Network Rail have put in place using a number of different pieces of research coming together around how we can digitise the loads book, but the information that tells you how long freight trains can be in effect. Generally speaking, in the past, if we wanted to make a freight train longer, we've put some wagons on the back and run it until we caused a performance issue, but now we can model that. So some really great advancements in that sort of back office function as well. So what are some of the challenges ahead? And where do we think innovation is going to help us out? I'm going to start with one that isn't on that slide, actually, rail reform. The rail reform, Lord Hendy's spoken to us about the opportunity, and I joke about him not mentioning the word freight, but of course GBR will only run about 75% of the trains in the country. And so whilst there are undoubted benefits that will come from that reform for the people who are inside the tent, we really need to make sure that rail reform looks after the people who are outside the tent. And that means that the innovations that are going to be driven, whether through GBRX or through GBR, need to make sure that they absolutely look out for all the users on the network as well. Too often we come across innovations which are being developed for the passenger railway, which could be turbocharged if only they knew where the freight trains were, for example. So we need to make sure that we're being really holistic as we move into that GBR universe, that we pick that up. Lord Hendy spoke about how, within a GBR model, I don't know whether there's no one to blame or he knows who's to blame, but something like that. And yet somebody in the room this morning told me that they were delayed by a failed freight train, which turned out, in fact, to have been a Network Rail signal failure. So we really need to be squeaky clean that reform is going to work for everyone. And we're all looking forward to the consultation document when it comes out to understand how those plans will do that. But other areas where we need to be working. First of all, decarbonisation. I joked a little bit about the coal trains. We don't really move any coal nowadays, and we all need to be moving forward with decarbonisation. And that remains incredibly challenging in heavy industries, whether that's road, rail, or elsewhere. So what can we do both to decarbonise ourselves, but also to help other economies decarbonise themselves? At RFG, we've got a meeting in a couple of weeks' time about whether we could move hydrogen at scale using rail freight to help support businesses who want to use hydrogen as part of their decarbonisation journey. We need to look at the systems that our industry runs on. The freight railway today runs on a database called TOPS. It's older than me, and I'm starting to plan my retirement, but TOPS seems not to be retiring. It's here to keep. We cannot run a railway on a 1970s system. It just doesn't support any of the things that we need to do and the data that we need. And that's just one example. There are so many systems like that embedded in Network Rail and in the operators and the way we work that need to be modernised. Network capacity is the ultimate scarce resource. So what can we do to make that perform better, to equate the speeds of trains, to help us move more reliably on the network? We all know the railways are too expensive, so where are the costs that we can get to? And where can those systems help us to reduce that cost through better planning, better maintenance, and so on? And then integration with customers. You'll all be familiar with that in a passenger world, and it's hugely important, the systems and the information that we have, but it's also true of customers. So the customers who use rail freight today are businesses like Tesco, like the world's biggest shipping lines, like the construction businesses, like Tata Steel. For Tata Steel, we move super hot steel slabs between parts of their production processes. And they've got increasing demands for integration into their supply chains to make sure that rail is totally seamless. And we're not always brilliantly good at that, but we need to step up to help our customers to meet that. And so I'm really passionate about getting more information out of the freight network, about platforms like the Rail Data Marketplace that pushes people towards that open data proposition to help those businesses be able to access that into their supply chains as well. So look, rail freight is a fantastically exciting place for innovation because we've been doing it for 200 years, because we'll be doing it now, and because there are a lot of things we need to fix. So I'm really encouraged that I was asked here today and that these innovation conferences continue to take place and to happen. And if any of you need any information about rail freight, I think these slides will be shared, but you've got my information there. I'm not very difficult to track down anyway, so please do get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Maggie Simpson. I'd now like to welcome up Luisa Moisio from the RSSB.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'm Luisa Muisio, Director of Research at RSSB, and I'm very pleased to be here today to share my thoughts on the role of the rail technical strategy in driving forward the innovation we are all working towards. So let me start very much with that magic word, innovation. It does actually mean a million different things to a million different people. Even more so because we have a 200-year-old railways in some cases. So what do we need to do with innovation? Is it okay that we all picture it slightly differently? Is it okay that some of us sees it as making the most of what we got? Maggie just mentioned some of the challenges of freight traffic, running longer, heavier trains given all the constraints of our gauges. Some sees it as the next generation of any solution we have got already, better wheel profiles, better ticketing, and that is really important at any window of opportunity, anytime we go for capital investment, going for the best solution, the most innovative solution, the most efficient solution out there is so important. And others are working for those radical changes, for the almost unthinkable from the depot Maggie was describing that works autonomously to the next big generation and switches that we will need to do, digital signaling, moving away from old communication system into a new era. Now, at RSSB, for example, because of our role, because of the nature of our research program, we tend to focus an awful lot on the optimization space and in helping the risk in the radical end of the spectrum. Having said that, all of those different flavors of innovation are really important. They are all needed. And what is really important is not their shapes, size, form. What is really important is how we work together to put them in practice, and how we work together to put them in practice at pace with urgency. And that is where actually the technical strategy comes in. So why do we need one? Can we not just let all these good innovations funded in different ways, driven by different stakeholders, the right stakeholders for the different types, flourish and deliver? Absolutely, we can and we do. The RTS is there because if you think about it, for innovation to be more likely to succeed, it needs a purpose. And the RTS is there to give that direction, that purpose, that coherence between so many different endeavors. And purpose and direction are also key to create momentum, to enable synergies. So that is an important role of the RTS. That common purpose that I very often describe as the glue that links the RSSB research program with first of a kind, the glue that brings those two endeavors together with the Network Rail research program, and to what universities do and to what research council do. So that is the glue. Importantly, the RTS is also there very much to showcase what we are working towards, what technologies we are thinking of adopting, what new solutions we need, what new solution we are struggling for. Another very, very important aim for the RTS is to be there to empower people across the industry to think a bit longer term. When any of us in this room working in the research and innovation space have spoken with an engineering director, with an ops director, they come back to us, at least they come back to me saying, Luisa, I'm here, let's speak at 5:30 tonight, service is king, I have a problem over there. That's absolutely fine. We need to run trains, freight and passengers. We need to run them reliably. But the RTS helps to make sure that we don't spend all our time firefighting. It gives that ability to an empowerment to think a bit more longer term. Now, we all know from professional and personal experience that a purpose is not enough to deliver success, but it is a precondition. And the RTS, in the very same way, is not enough to deliver the railway that we want and that we need to deliver the railway that really support greater connectivity in the country. We need many more ingredients, rail reform being one. But the RTS is definitely a building block. Now, I'm here today, I'm extremely honored. I see some faces that I know well in the audience. I'm looking forward to meet many more in the afternoon. And those of you that know me know as well how passionate I am about the RTS. But actually, RTS, the Rail Technical Strategy, is not an RSSB endeavor only. We, RSSB, myself, my team, are very proud to continue in this journey and to be here today to talk to you. But this speech actually could have been easily delivered by so many others across the industry, from the CTO or the chief engineer at Network Rail, from engineering director at regions and route level in Network Rail, engineering directors in both freight or operational directors in passengers. Actually, I think that Maggie could have come here and done a double act, done her speech. No, I don't think I can do freight as you do, Maggie, and do RTS as well, because so many people, an endless list of people have been authoring the RTS, have been inputting in the RTS, and more importantly, are championing and making use of it to steer innovation on a daily basis. Of course, rail reform and just life means that some of those brands, some of those logos might evolve, are already evolving. What I would say, though, is that something as the RTS to be successful cannot be one organization strategy. It needs that buy-in, as Maggie was saying, from a much wider range of stakeholders and customers, and from the supply chains with all its tiers, as well as harnessing the best from academia. So it really needs that collective ownership. Now, I mentioned RTS endlessly. This is RTS in one slide, but it doesn't give it justice. So if you haven't done so, please use the QR code up there, go on the website, see the real meat of it on the website. At the core of it, there are 5 functional priorities, and actually in those 5 priorities, last year there was an important new entry, freight friendly. Freight before had always been recognized and featured within priorities. Given the need for freight growth, given as well the opportunity and the specific challenges it presents, it does have now its own priority. The others are essential, and for each of them there is a route map. So the priority is broken down into goals, but more importantly, for that glue piece I was talking about before, are the stepping stones. Those things that we need to make happen in the next few years to get us closer to the vision. And let's not forget the critical enablers, because it's about data more and more. It's about culture and it's about people. So enablers to underpin those 5 priorities. A lot more on the website, not just the route maps, case studies, who is doing what, list. Never comprehensive, cannot be, that is mission impossible, but a starter for 10 to create those synergies that we need to get innovation driving. So engage with it. The start of the engagement is of course the website, where you can see the touch point between what is in those route maps and what you are working towards, where you can interrogate the who is doing what list. Get in touch also with the RTS engine room. No strategy is perfect. The beauty of the Rail Technical Strategy is not that it's been printed and is there as a nice glossy for one event like this one, is a living creature. So if you think we got something wrong, if you think we have missed something, if you have a great success story or some food for thought for us to learn and reflect from, please get in touch. We are also, this time around, having done so much work last calendar year to refresh a significant part of the RTS, we are engaging a number of organizations, from some of the cross-industry groups that RSSB facilitates to asset groups in Network Rail, into a mapping exercise to understand who is leading, who is contributing, who is interested. This mapping exercise, which started within the Ukraine community when academia and supply chain commercial players come together, is gathering pace and is proving really, really, really useful. So if you're interested to go for a deeper engager, please get in touch. There is an RTS stand, we can tell you more. Ultimately, all what I want to say is a thank you for the opportunity to tell you more about the RTS. I'm very hopeful that it continues to act as that glue that allows to make our collective innovation efforts be bigger than individual parts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Louisa. I'd now like to welcome up Clara and James from Innovate UK.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to our Rail Innovation Exhibition 2025. First, I would like to say thank you to all our speakers for coming today and presenting and being with us during the day as well. I'm Clara Ludinova, I'm the Innovation Lead for Rail at Innovate UK, and this is my colleague, Innovation Lead as well, James Bevan. This year, as mentioned before, the exhibition happened at the same time as the Railway 200. It's a big milestone, and not only for the UK rail industry. We would like to take a moment to reflect and celebrate, because this is what we're trying to do, celebrate innovation, and hopefully the products you can see here today and many others which went through the first of a kind will set the future. And in 100 years, 200 years, people, and not just the trained geeks, but the professionals and general public will appreciate what we are doing here today and what products we come with. We would like to tell you a bit about the past of the rail programs, the present and the current project which just recently completed, and a little bit brief look into the potential future. We have the pleasure of working with the Department for Transport for the last 8 years, since 2017, and delivering many rail competitions. It started as a accelerating innovation in rail and then become the well-known first of a kind, or FOAK, as you please. The main objectives of our competition is to deliver real-life demonstration on the operation railway. And usually it's the first deployment of the product in the rail sector. It helps to de-risk any product, and what we're trying to achieve is to help gain confidence in any potential customers and help a fast commercialization, because what we really want to see, the products which come from first of a kind being actually used daily in the railway as soon as possible after the project completes. Over the past few years, we had many different themes, including rail freight, customer experience, and many others like cost efficiency and maintenance. For example, in FOAK 2022, we still have 2 live projects, because it was our first 2-phase competition. And one project is exhibited here today. It's rail charging converter by Siemens Mobility. And both projects from this competition will have a live demonstration in summer this year. And then my colleague James will introduce a bit more about the recently completed project and give you a brief look for the potential future.
Cool. Thanks, Clara. So just a reminder, I'm James, also one of the innovation leads at Innovate UK, and I just wanted to give an update about the kind of first of a kind 2023, so I guess what's going on in the present, and then also touch on what's going to be happening in the future a little bit. So I had the pleasure of looking after the first of a kind 2023 programme over the past year, and it launched in the summer of 23, and successful project started in November for a year-long duration. And they just finished a few months ago. Many of them are here today. I think it was 20 out of 22 we supported were able to make it. So if you have a chance, I'd encourage you to take a look. They've got some excellent demonstrations on show. The competition followed a similar format to previous years, with a strong emphasis on completing a live demonstration in a railway environment. And commercialization was also a focus, so we really encouraged projects to think about how they'd exploit their solutions and best engage with their end customers. There's no point having the innovations sit on the shelf. So the four main themes, or the four themes of FOAC 2023 were customer experience, reliable and maintainable assets, optimized train operations, and high-speed rail systems. The first three themes were put forward by DfT in alignment with the government priorities at the time, while high-speed rail systems were sponsored and supported by HS2. This was actually the first time HS2 had supported and sponsored specifically FOAC, and it's been really successful, and we're in conversations and discussions about how they continue to do that in the future, and we have them involved. As you can see on the screen, we had 9 projects within the customer experience category, and I'd just like to highlight a few which I was lucky enough to be involved with. The first one, this was completely unplanned, was actually about real-time onboard transcription of live announcements in trains. So it'll be interesting, because I think they're demonstrating out here today which one's better, but hopefully our first-of-a-kind transcription is better. But it aimed to enhance the passenger experience using kind of a lightweight offline speech-to-text model, and it improved transcription accuracy and addressed accessibility challenges. So essentially, this is the system which, when the driver or the train conductor speaks through the tannoy, it comes up on a screen on board in the carriage. At first glance, this may seem quite a simple challenge to solve, but when you factor in thick, heavy northern accents, unusual train station names, the speed at which you want to see it on the screen, because is it coming too quickly for you to read? Do you have a delay? It actually turns out to be quite complex. The team persevered and successfully delivered a working model, which I believe is here today, so go and try it out. And it was really great to see it on a train to Manchester Airport in action. This was fantastic, and it's not only a great feature for people who are hard of hearing, also there's a big use case for people who are just sitting there with their headphones on and can read it on the screen. Another project which I enjoyed following was the world's first 100% recyclable rail seat. As regulations and interior design requirements evolve, rail seats are becoming increasingly uncomfortable. This project aimed to create a sustainable seat using lightweight, low-height recyclable springs. And what I quite liked about this was that the R&D process and the requirements behind this innovation that you have to go to get it signed off. And I think for someone like me, I just sit in my seat on the train, don't really think about how that's gone through that product process. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the demonstration event, but the team installed it on a train, and the feedback was excellent. And I think it's here today, so go and try it out. But I do warn you, if you sit on it, you may not get up again. And I also think the cross-country Voyager seats could learn a lesson or two about it. So if anyone's from cross-country today, go and check it out. If you know, you know. They're not very nice. From the reliable and maintainable assets, we funded 5 projects. I personally particularly like this one because it often involved tangible kind of hardware. And coming from an engineering background and liking to tinker with things, this is really great to see. So, for example, a robot which climbed the inside of an archway, really cool to see. But one project to mention was the Smart Depot and understanding asset savings. So this created a real-time digital twin for rail depots by connecting internet-connected sensors to enhance already generated data. So this gave really valuable insights to trained depot managers, and it enabled them to optimize depot flow and even understand things like fuel usage within trains, to understand if one of the trains in their fleet had a problem, and then therefore they could rectify that. This is happening right now in Network Rail's Holgate depot, so these innovations are already kind of being rolled out across the network. And another one just to mention in this category as well, address cybersecurity, and again they're here today, but in my opinion this is often overlooked, but it's an incredibly important issue, and this project has developed a handheld device for rail companies to robustly safeguard their assets against kind of malicious attacks and cybersecurity threats, which actually it's not something which first comes to mind, but is a really important issue, and have identified many further use cases of this. The final theme I'll just mention was in optimized train operations, and we had several projects focused on kind of machine learning powered tools to simulate rail timetable optimization. So these projects simulated what happens if there was a delay or they wanted to change the network, kind of the running of them. And I think in today's world, we have an increasing amount of data and lots of variables. And so this capability is really key for us to innovate with and develop further. So the network maps were really easy to understand, and it gave route planners a wealth of tools which they could use to optimize the timetables. I think, unfortunately, delays, as we all know, are a common occurrence, and the more we can do to mitigate those impacts, the better. I could go on and tell you about more of these projects, and do come speak to me if you do want to know more about them. I can give you my overview. But firstly, I wouldn't do them justice, and secondly, that's what today is about as well. Go out and speak to these companies and find out how they can solve your problems, get some inspiration, or find out what their journey has been with FOAC. Overall, it's been a fantastic year for the first of a kind, and I'm excited to see how these projects continue to develop over the coming months and years. And I just want to say congratulations to all those projects, because there's a whole team of people behind them making them happen and making them a success. So finally, what's next for innovation in the railways? There's a lot happening in the rail industry, and we can all expect a lot of change. But I'm not going to pretend here to stand here and tell you what's going to happen, because I think most of us don't know. But at Innovate UK, we're excited to be supporting and funding rail innovation, working closely with the Department for Transport and the Department for Business and Trade in whatever shape or form it takes. Specifically for FOAC, we've been collaborating with DfT and other stakeholders to plan future competitions and the programme, and kind of seeing where that goes. Currently, FOAC tends to be focused on broad themes, each with a set of suggested challenges sitting beneath it. However, we're looking to shift towards a more challenge-led approach, working closely with end customers to define the most pressing challenges they need to address. This means future competitions will feature more targeted challenges and scopes with even stronger industry support. The challenges will take centre stage, giving innovators a clearer understanding of what the industry wants and needs, and we hope this will give us even better outcomes. I guess also we're the UK's innovation agency, so we should try and do things a little differently every now and then. We'll be sharing more details soon and what that will look like, and we hope you will be able to get involved. Clara and I will be around all day, so feel free to come over and grab us. We'd love to chat, and hopefully we can answer any of your questions. But thanks very much for your time.
Right, that now concludes the speaker session. Thanks to all of our speakers for joining us today. Can I encourage everyone here to download the event app using the QR code, which is here. This app, if you download the app via the QR code, that will really help everyone here today find out everything about exhibitors, where everything is, and also contact details, and importantly, again, allow you to interact with each other and make those connections. So please do make much use of that. Now, that concludes the speaker session. So thank you very much for joining us. Now, enjoy the exhibition. Thank you.